Oh, I think it's going to be an expose and a cover-up at the same time. That's the way IG reports are. There'll be a lot of facts suggesting criminal activity.
Joining me now is Tom Fitton. He is the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, thanks for joining me today. Tom, the FISA report is set to be released on Monday, and that is we'll learn more details about the FBI's conduct when it came to the Russia investigation. Do you have any predictions?
Oh, I think it's going to be an expose and a cover-up at the same time. That's the way IG reports are. There'll be a lot of facts suggesting criminal activity. In fact, one of the reports already on the draft report is that there was a referral for a criminal prosecution of a FBI lawyer involved in handling the FISA warrant applications, and evidently he altered a piece of evidence in order to get these FISA warrants spying on the Trump team, specifically Carter Page. So we already know there are crimes based on reports associated with this FISA-gate analysis, and the question is what additional information we're going to get about the misconduct directed at the president. Nothing like it in American history has happened before in terms of the spying on a candidate and then the president. So we're going to get the dirty details on it.
So you do believe that there was wrongdoing or mistakes made in the FISA process. And obviously you do believe that if you want to be a little more specific.
Well, we already know that the FISA warrants were deficient in the sense that they contained omissions of material fact about the evidence, and I use evidence, the term evidence loosely, justifying the outrageous spying on the Trump team. And they used the Steele dossier, and they didn't give the courts the full picture, both exculpatory information that would have weighed against authorizing this unprecedented spying on the Trump team, and certainly they misled the court about the political nature of the dossier, who was behind it. They didn't tell the court it was the Clinton gang behind it. And now, evidently, they knew that the dossier wasn't checking out. So I tell you, this is going to show that the president of the United States is a crime victim.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Christopher Steele, and it was a report by the Washington Post.
Yeah, the Post is previewing a bit of the report. And, you know, what's happening is some people are seeing some parts of the report and then going to the media and trying to spin the parts they see. And because it's the Washington Post and New York Times, the spin tends to be towards exonerating the deep state and the Obama-Clinton gang that was abusing power to target Trump. But the big news is that they lied to the FISA courts. A crime was committed in tampering with evidence used to justify the warrants. And that's pretty big in and of themselves. And who knows what else is in the report? We don't know.
Do you think this report's going to lead to changes in the FISA process? Obviously, the FISA courts, there's not a ton of transparency there.
Well, you know, the problem is you need the president needs the ability to really spy on foreigners. And in this case, you had the president use that power to kind of end run the Constitution to spy on his political opponent. So I don't know how much more reform can be done to the system. You know, the courts are supposed to be policing this. One of the things Judicial Watch found out, Stephanie, was that the FISA courts did not hold one hearing. They had the initial application and 3 renewals, and they didn't hold one hearing in person where they brought the lawyers in and discussed the evidence they had before them. And I tell you, if the FISA courts can't be bothered to hold a hearing on a spy application targeting the president of the United States and the candidate, then what good are they? What good is a court system at all?
Yeah. And Rush Limbaugh, on the Rush Limbaugh show, he's called Michael Horowitz a swampist and a deep stater. So when it comes to Michael Horowitz, do you share the same opinion as Rush?
Well, you know, I think institutionally, IGs are creatures of the deep state. That's for sure. You saw this in the last big IG report where he found all this evidence of political bias against Donald Trump and all sorts of misconduct in the handling of the Clinton email investigation, and then just kind of said, well, you know, in the end, it didn't matter. And obviously that wasn't true. And I think you're going to see a bit more of that here in this report, where he exposes failures by the FBI and the Justice Department, to put it charitably, but doesn't go the necessary step to say this whole process was compromised and politicized and criminal in nature.
So
this is why it's important that the bar do his own due diligence to figure out what went on.
Yeah, and the report's coming out on Monday is what we've been told. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that Democrats are moving forward with the articles of impeachment against President Trump. Do you find the timing a little odd?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a big hearing on it on Monday. You think it's any coincidence? I do. This is what the coup is about, distracting from the criminal activity, targeting President Trump. And when he complains about the criminal activity, impeach him and try to remove him from office.
So how do you think this will all affect the impeachment effort?
Well, this is why they want to speed the impeachment process forward, because they recognize that the more information that comes out about not only this Ukraine sham, but the FISA sham victimizing Trump, the less popular support there will be for impeachment. Impeachment is a rotting fish, and they want to get rid of it as soon as possible. Because they know the longer it's out there, the less support there'll be for it.
Well, I found it rather curious when Pelosi said that this was not political at all whatsoever. You know, this is for the good of the country. Yet they've been trying to impeach the president since the day he took office. And really quickly, I wanted to get your thoughts on Adam Schiff. He obtained and released the personal phone records of former Mayor Rudy Giuliani and Devin Nunes. Is that legal?
I don't know, because we don't know exactly what happened. Adam Schiff is a menace to the Constitution. Even if he did follow the rules in issuing a subpoena to secretly get the phone records of the president's lawyers, the journalists, and indirectly one of his colleagues, Devin Nunes, it's certainly inappropriate and it's an abuse of power. And it shows you that Adam Schiff doesn't give a whit about the general rights and protections the Constitution provides Americans. If he can do this to President Trump or Rudy Giuliani or John Solomon or Devin Nunes, he can do it to anyone watching this program.
Some people are calling on Republicans to start asking the Democrats for some of their phone records, specifically Schiff, when it came to maybe conversations with the whistleblower.
Well, that should be investigated as a criminal matter, in my view, because it looks to me like classified information may have been shared with Adam Schiff's staff and team. Certainly he lied about the initial communications, and that would be illegal if it took place. Maybe even the conversation between Colonel Vindman and the alleged whistleblower, that may have been improperly, that may have involved the improper sharing of classified information. There needs to be a criminal investigation into how this coup took place.